extract data from laptops on grounds of, we want to see where your software bug is, and for this we need to kind of get our fingers deep into your terminal. But that can be obviously misused. And for InfoSec professionals, this is no novelty. The NIST directive, which brings in lots of national regulatory standards of what is decent information security, cooperation mechanism between states, setting up incident response centers. We have them today as well. This is obviously evolving to accommodate new type of hybrid warfare that we're seeing. This is simply an example of privacy by design process, software development cycle, various toll gates. We come up with an idea, we have some high-level business requirements, we move into detailed requirements, we start actually developing the software, then we test it, then we move it into production. So in each and every steps, there can be some privacy checks. Yeah? Someone comes up with an idea. I have an idea, let's build an application that monitors children. Whoops, privacy guy goes, wait a minute. Children monitoring, you said two nasty words. So then we know for sure that the privacy person will be involved heavily throughout the software development lifecycle. The DPIAs that everyone involved in the privacy had to run more or less for clients or to advise how to run them. Just a matrix of how you would qualify risk. Yeah, I'm not going to insist on that. And obviously, you could say the risks that are mapped into this site are those that are going to go through the DPIA. So data breach statistics, probably there's three types of breaches. There's the availability breach, so the data is unavailable for a given period of time, personal data. There's the confidentiality breach, the data has been accessed by someone who was not supposed to access it. And the integrity breach, someone changed my social security number in some system. So they tampered with the data. These types of breaches. These are statistics from the ICO, so the Freedom of Information request by RedScan. The UK Data Protection Authority replied to it. These are the 2018 stats. Just to detect, takes us 60 days. Remember, we're supposed to report once we know there's a breach, and usually you have these advanced persistent threats. The hackers are in our system for months before we realize they're in, so we're not liable for that time frame. And there was one that took that many days. So that's detection. And then reporting. Obviously, we're not going to rush into reporting. We want to make sure that we don't say more than we need to say. Who am I? If I'm a processor, that's fine. I'm going to tell the controller. I'm not going to stab myself into the national authority sword. Maybe I can qualify that the breach does not pose risks to the rights and freedoms of the natural persons. Great, I don't need to report it. But these need to be used very carefully. E-privacy regulation, obviously we need to understand, does it apply to me? Who am I? Am I providing a digital service? Am I a telecom? Am I an ISP? Am I running a website? Do I have a digital app that people are using? It's still in the making. We kind of know how it's going to turn, but there's still lots of heavily funded fights to push in some of the things. European law, you probably saw, is more or less the gold standard of privacy. US is trying to catch up now with the California privacy law. But also internally, this is facing huge resistance. It's basically the home of Google and Facebook and Twitter. Robotic process automation, RPA, and artificial intelligence. We need to remember that natural data subjects, some call them data actors. Subject is more or less passive, something happens to you. When you're a data actor, you initiate interacting. So data subjects have the right not to be subjected to an automated decision making. The unicorn we have a unicorn in Romania, is dealing with RPA. Obviously, whenever they implement in a client a process automation, not they themselves, but the client needs to assess if that robot, that algorithm requires an update of the privacy notice, informing the data subject that they're doing this, explaining the logic of the algorithm is one of the requirements brought up by GDPR, and this is very tough. I mean, in some cases, obviously you need to use simple language, be concise and all that, but to actually explain the logic of the algorithm, that I have rarely seen.
If I can ask you here, what's your opinion? How deep should you go in explaining, or must actually, because you obviously, if you are a company, you wouldn't like to disclose that much.
Yeah.
But what would be mandatory for you as a company to disclose?
First of all, I think there's a wording there in that GDPR article, to the extent possible. So there's always this room for wiggle, but you need to have at least some traceable internal documentation that if we told people that they come from such and such a part of the country and they are within this age range, and I used to work for Telecom in Romania in 2001 in the activation back office. So you would receive application for mobile subscription, and we would input data into a simple program. Age range, county, does it have its own apartment, yes or no, or is it rental? Declared occupation, so it's not that we would check, we would just take what they wrote on the contract. And this thing at the end would output a risk score. And we were so savvy in using it that within weeks we could tell, if you're a student from Moldavian counties, you don't have your own apartment, that telecom will require a deposit. It was the practice back then in 2001. So that is something you cannot tell. You could be probably politically correct, wishy-washy in terms of, if we deem that your personal solvability is not good enough compared to your mobile usage pattern and your average bill value, we might, for the avoidance of future financial trouble, we may ask you to place a deposit with us, just for your safety. Okay, I'm almost done with the presentation. Artificial intelligence and analytics. I recommend Kathy O'Neill. She has a very good TED talk on big data and how big data can be misused and how this actually can tamper with democracy. She has this well-known book, Weapons of Math Destruction. Basically, she's stating at some point in her speech that algorithms are bias embedded in code. And when we have seen, for instance, facial recognition software that was very good at recognizing white males, but kind of crap at recognizing black females, because the developer was not exactly feeding lots of black people photography into the system in the learning phase. I think this is my last slide. Some of the topics, Benoit also mentioned the dilemmas of autonomous vehicles. I recommend you Google MIT Moral Machine. It's basically getting you through some dilemmas. What should the car do between hitting, I don't know, fat 50-year-old man versus 2 children, or successful entrepreneur versus 2 homeless people. It is quite tough. Yeah? IBM recently took pride in stating that they hold the technology to predict with 95% accuracy early leavers, people who are considering leaving the company. This is very sensitive. I don't want to think of what the data points are. You saw my LinkedIn profile update. You saw me receiving emails from recruiters and me replying to them. That's very, very sensitive. I'm not going to speak on their behalf, obviously. European Union has launched this guidelines, ethic guidelines for trustworthy AI. So it is broadly acknowledged that artificial intelligence can be misused. I read this chart on Reddit recently. If the machines, you know the Turing test? The Turing test is this small test that you could, from the answers, you could decide if it's a machine or a human that's behind who's giving the answers. So if the machines, as they say in the Terminator, were truly plotting to rise up and conquer us and remove us, they would deliberately fail the Turing test to maintain this element of surprise. So I'm stating here that we should not be happy that something is not yet forbidden by law, because if we build our business model on it and we know it's evil, yeah, it's only a matter of time before our core activity is banned by law. Yeah? Maybe not in full. Yeah? Facebook has seen the hardware. Well, they're still doing okay, but time will tell. Yeah. So it's not just regulatory. That was the title of my title slide. It's also the moral. Yeah, we have the legal layer. We also have the moral layer. So we should not ignore the fact that we have an early feeling that something is not right. We should trust that gut feeling and deep dive into it. And yeah, as I mentioned, in the US, they use algorithms to approve or deny release on parole. This is pretty much it. I will take questions if you have to. Yes, please.
I've noted down 3 questions. First would be, in your practice, hashes were deemed as being personal data or not?
The hash, well, lawyers can know the difference between hashing and encryption. This is fantastic. Hashing, obviously, complex algorithms, depending on computing power, can be reversed. So we had some, computing power available these days. The SHA, whatever, was deemed as decent. Now it's not anymore. Just think that this quantum computing that's building up, quantum computing is more or less fantastically from pure silicon processors. They can solve these mathematical problems that are actually the underlying part of hashing and encryption so much faster than traditional computing that the entire InfoSec will need to revamp in the very near future. So if it's reversible, or if it's foreseeably reversible, and you can extract clear text data from the hash at some point in time, not too far in the future, I would be on the safe side. When in doubt, on the safe side, yes.
The next one, again, from your practice, were there only banks or non-financial institutions that were PSI DSS compliant? Or do you have any, let's say, vendors or?
DSS, PCI DSS?
Yeah.
I'm not exactly closely familiar to the topic. I know that it's payment cards industry only, so payment processors and banks are supposed to be compliant.
There are payment processors that are not banks that are incompliant.
Yes, exactly. So banks and payment processors, if you have a breach or some fraudulent activity and you are not compliant, then you pay for it. Otherwise, Visa pays for it.
And I believe, just to add to what you say, I believe there are some cloud vendors, and we need to check, double check, which do this, just, it's not mandatory for them, but they just do that to be even more, like, to look even better with their customers. Like, we are also compliant with those regulations to make it really appealing to the customers.
Yeah.
Exactly. So it might be that other vendors are also, taking those assessments.
On the PSD2, there's also this issue of liability. Who is liable if the customer approved the payment and the payment initiator did misuse the data or they didn't have the consent? Then also the burden of proof that Benoit was mentioning. These will be quite some interesting topics to see how they.
And final question about the content filtering.
The copyright directive? Wow, that's... Personally, you need to make this mental leap to say democracy is not always the best thing. So you can see in some countries.
That's a strong statement.
That's the thing. That's the thing, and I'm not going to answer in terms of taking sides. I'm just opening up some extra things. Basically, you have countries like Netherlands who have this level of liberty. You have countries like us that misinterpret liberty to some extent. So obviously, hate speech has been poorly regulated. Live streaming of shootings is terrible. Some form of management is required, but then where do you draw the line? And this is something no one really can answer in a clear-cut way. And then the question is, which one is the lesser evil? Obviously, this filtering can be misused. The Notre Dame was originally labeled as fake news by YouTube. Yes. As it appeared and as it grew viral, it matched the pattern of some fake news. So YouTube said, fake news, it can't be.
And this free speech infringement is another topic to speak about, right?
Yes.
Like, when is the democracy in danger? If like you really, remove the ability of people to speak up freely against institutions, against other regulatory laws which are in place. And this has taken away this free speech, which
Exactly.
is a huge thing for many countries. So this is a very sensitive area, I would say. Yeah.
So here algorithm stuff, there's going to be algorithms that are going to filter the content.
Exactly.
And we have bias. And the point of
And some people will challenge that in court, also probably in terms of the right not to be subject to automated decision making. Maybe someone will incur some effects because they were not, their voice was not heard. These will probably be settled in court. It sounds like a good intent with a crap implementation.
But we just have the intent yet, which is in the law. Maybe the law also wants to tip on this on the liability of the platforms, because you have a slide on the liability, and I think this changes the rules of the game a lot in this respect. And I'm surprised actually that the first change of liability came with the copyright reform and not with the change of the e-commerce directive. So how do you see that? Do you see that the e-commerce directive will be transformed based on the copyright reform?
I think that the legality of Article 17 of the Copyright Directive can be challenged.
Okay.
I will explain my reasoning. If you take Article 1, Paragraph 2 of the new Copyright Directive, it is mentioned that by no way the Copyright Directive affects and derogates to several directives. And with the exception of Article 25, but Article 25 says something else. And in this list you find the e-commerce directive, but, and that's very important, the previous copyright directive, 2001/29. So when you read this article, you, as a lawyer, you can deduct that the new copyright directive is not a lex specialis from the first one. It is just dealing with something else. And if you take back the first copyright directive, I think recital 16, the recital 16 of the first copyright directive says that liability issues are only regulated by the e-commerce, which means that if you combine recital 16, article 1, paragraph 2 of the new one, the article 17 of the DSM directive derogates to the first directive, which stipulates that liability should only be dealt by the e-commerce directive, which means that I think there is room for those who are interested to challenge in front of the general court this article, and later on, because that's 3 months, I think, after publication on the official journal, that you could then refuse to pay, and when you're sued, send preliminary questions to the European Court of Justice. Very interesting.